So just keeping updates to this video. I'm going to be making an updated video here pretty soon of my apartment and things I found on the streets and the curbs, and a few things I ordered. Gonna make pancakes. I decided to make pancakes. My mother used to make pancakes all the time, and it used to be called Aunt Jamie's, I think, or Gemma's pancake mix, but they changed the name, I guess, and this is what they told me to call it. It's called Pearl Milling. So anyway, I decided, since I have my own apartment now, to celebrate with the original pancakes my mother used to make every Saturday for me. Every Saturday, she would make pancakes for us. And we always had the Aunt Jenna's, I think it's Aunt Jenna's or something like that. I'm going to say Aunt Jenna's syrup, and with the pancake mix, but they changed their name. But I decided, since I'm in Vermont, to try some of this Vermont Amber Ridge Maple Underhill Vermont 100% pure made Vermont maple syrup. Says here, nothing removed, is nothing added, nothing removed. I know this is the best place. It's supposed to have the best syrup, you know, of pancakes, I guess, for pancakes, waffles, that kind of stuff. So I decided to go ahead and make some pancakes for myself. Decided to make some pancakes for myself. Because the Lord has really helped me in these circumstances in life. I should be absolutely grateful. Got my desk and a few things. It's Julian's favorite car, but anyway, it's just a little kid model. So I'm just gonna. I made a lowrider for him that I used to see him all the time, and this is the car he spoke of a lot. So just a plastic car, you know. But you know, it'd be fun to let her know I remember him. So I got some syrup. Didn't have any butter. Forgot to get the butter. It's really good. It's original. But they have these maple syrup festivals here, which is something they do. I'm not very familiar with them. I'm not a big person that goes to like chili cook-offs or ever has, or with these types of cook-offs that they have, where they have a bunch of meals and see who can cook the best. So delicious syrup. Father, in the Holy Spirit, thank you for my prayer, and thank you, the Lord, for feeding me and giving me a place to live. I got to get the butter. But it's okay. It's absolutely delicious. Very good. Reminds me a lot. I overcooked these a little bit. Just a little bit. I like it more lighter canned, so it tastes a little bit more clumpy. But reminds me so much of how my mother used to make pancakes. You know, I remember the smell, the bacon. My mother never hardly ever made sausage growing up. She always made bacon. Most of the time, she made bacon with pancakes. sometimes wouldn't, but I'd go to soccer games, or I'd come home from a soccer game or practice, and we would have pancakes. Me, Frankie, and Julian. Much of this experience, I remember most of it with Frankie, because by the time that Julian had already moved out of the house and got old, because Julian was about 6 to 7 years old when my dad committed suicide. So he was already becoming very drunk in the last 2 years so between the ages of 4 to 6 years old, my dad was getting drunk all the time. So he really didn't get to know who he was, very much of him. But me and Frankie really experienced my father like a family, sitting down at the dinner table. Julian as well, but by this time, Frankie even knows my father very much more better, because he knew who Frankie was. Frankie knew who my dad was when he was still working. When he would go to work and come home, like a normal blue-collar job guy, that's exactly what my father was, and what that lifestyle was. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She'd always had like the baby crib, or like the baby kitchen table, where you put the little babies in. I would be sitting in there. So Frankie really understood that a lot better even than I did. But Frankie and me, we were always eating pancakes, and at the dinner table. I remember in the mornings my mother would make it for us. I had to try this maple syrup for Vermont, right? Vermont. Someone that allowed me to have an apartment. So maybe next time I'll get the Aunt Jana's syrup as well. But they changed the name. I don't know why. The latest that they said, I don't know. I thought it was unusual, but it's a picture of a black lady. And she looks kind of like the era of times when, when like slavery was in session, and the white men had, like, all the black people weren't all slaves. Some of them, a lot of them lived in very well, beautiful conditions, inside very wealthy homes, and they would cook for their masters. You know how the kind of clothes they used to wear? Like they had a drape over their head, and the kind of clothes, like they were a maid, personal maid. That's exactly kind of what the person kind of looked like. Not to be offensive of that, but that's what it looked like. It looked like maybe a Louisiana kind of person from like the eras of life when it was very different. Go to soccer games. My mother, I remember how she would be kind of, happy. But there was a part of her that was kind of like sad. I remember she didn't say anything. Like felt like she was becoming more of a laborer. But for the first few years, it was very beautiful. She'd make pancakes, and I still remember the light shining in the kitchen. Me and Frankie eating. Like me and Frankie, I don't think my dad, yeah, I don't think Julian ever did. Yeah, he didn't. Julian never ate at the dinner table with my dad, Frankie, and me like we used to because our table was really small. So what would happen when I grew up, my dad and me and Frankie would sit at the dinner table all together and we ate as a family. All of us. I'm not kidding, it was a family. So it was very accustomed to, we never prayed before a meal. I think we did a couple of times. My dad always sat next to me. Our entire lives, my mom stood across from me and directly across from me, and then Frankie would always sit on the other side of the table, across from my dad. And we always ate at the dinner table. We always did it on Saturdays and even late night meals sometimes. It was always guaranteed a Saturday, but we ate together. Julian never did because my dad was already getting very intoxicated and drunk by this time, where he sort of just kind of looked like he had sort of given up, or was bitter, or just you know what I think? I think also he was trying to enjoy his life because there really wasn't many things to do to really enjoy, so he just started to drink, and it was a way to enjoy himself and company and have a good time doing what you like to do, is take care of us, just to take care of us, and he'd get drunk and watch movies with us. He wouldn't get all violent. He would sometimes with my mother and say awful things, but with us kids, he never did. I mean, he didn't toward the very end, but he enjoyed very much drinking and taking care of us. It was weird. I mean, I know some people think, but he would like drinking and taking care of us, like watching us enjoy ourselves. And he's like, all right, my kids are enjoying it. So many years ago, I think it was the first time I tried pancakes, and I don't know if I've ever bought these pancakes, but maybe one other time I think I did. I think I did once at a time. Someone was grabbing food that makes me remind me of when I was living at my house, because it's the only place I ever felt home at. I never felt home before like that, and I never did in life again. One of the things that made me so bitter and angry about losing that home, is I never felt like that again. I never could come close to feeling that was ever. No matter where I went, how comfortable it was, nothing could make me feel like that again. You know, that house, that bright yellow house, we lived in, nothing could make me feel. There was something that when I moved out for a year and moved back into the house, it was like I healed. It was like I healed. My health healed. It was weird. I don't know. I want to say it was like a spiritual. I want to say close to a spiritual experience. It was weird how I went back to the home I grew up in and got living in there, and it felt so much like home. Like it felt home to me. Like I started to physically get healthy. Like I wasn't breaking out at all anymore. I could relax. I was good, and I was like, it was just. No matter living in my apartment, even when I was getting $6,000 off my dad's funeral because of Ken and Sarah, didn't matter if I had a car, nothing could make me feel like that. I mean, it was just nothing that made me feel like that. It was remarkable, but so many experiences. So I get a lot of things that I grew up in that house that I remember, all the experiences.